You think that you're independently thinking because they tell you that you are, but you're not. You are a product of them until you pull out of this system. And that's what I'm trying to do. So Taylor Swift, who again, how many times have I covered Taylor Swift? Probably thousands. Not because I enjoy Taylor Swift, not because it's going to get me any views or clicks. I know the majority of people who listen to my channel don't really want to hear about Taylor Swift, but it's important to understand the mechanism of what Taylor Swift stands for. Because right now, Taylor Swift is the equivalent of the Beatles in our society. It happened overnight. They decided to select Taylor Swift. 15 years ago, no one knew who she was. 10 years ago, 7 years ago, I covered Taylor Swift at the VMAs with Kanye West, and nobody could care at all. People couldn't care less about Taylor Swift getting walked over by Kanye and Beyonce. They thought it was something with race. They thought Kanye was in the right. Nobody realizes. All of a sudden, the only reason people are talking about Taylor Swift is because they won't stop talking about Taylor Swift. Because they're using Taylor Swift, like I pointed out in a video that's now removed, to talk about what? Gun control. To talk about what? Love all, accept all, tolerate all. All of the New World Order ideologies, the Communist Manifesto to a T, okay, filters down through these celebrities, and then they repackage it as love, as acceptance, as diversity, as equality. These are all misleading terms. They're manipulating you into slavery, okay? So Taylor Swift and the whole thing with the Super Bowl, everybody out there is looking at it and they're like, it's rigged. Well, it's very possible that the Super Bowl is rigged. I mean, you don't think they can control sports? You know, the only people that don't think they can control sports are people who are fans still of sports, which is what I say about Disney, right? I grew up a fan of sports, okay? Part of my awakening process was trying to and having to eliminate myself from enjoying any of these worldly, earthly things. Doesn't mean I still don't watch it and see what's going on. It doesn't mean that. But I have no emotional investment anymore in sports. I couldn't care less. I don't care, but I do watch it to see what they're doing and what they're saying because there is an audience there that they need to target, young minds. It's one of the most popular ways or popular forms of media now is sports. And they love to use the advertising and the puppets who go through their Masonic orders as they're initiated into the NBA and the MLB and the NFL. And then they go out and they do the bidding of their handlers. Okay? That's what LeBron James says. What do you think? They all have the same ideologies, the same as the celebrities. They're all programmed in. Okay? And if to think that sports aren't rigged, it's just you telling yourself that it's not possible. But it is possible. It's possible with technology. It's possible with the ball, having some type of technology in the ball to move. So there's all things we could think about, right? But it makes perfect sense because I think a lot of us were saying when we saw this arranged marriage with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and the Magic Potion that there was a good chance that they were going to make it to the Super Bowl because the Super Bowl is the most watched show on television in the United States of America every year. Nothing is close. Nothing is close. That's why they've convinced people out there to watch the Super Bowl just for the ads because they go out of their way to put mind control beyond steroids into those commercials. Okay, I cover the commercials every year because there's agenda behind every single thing. And they like you to think that people like me are crazy dissecting this stuff, and you're supposed to believe these people are just putting this stuff out there because they're creative and they're artistic. Everything they're doing is about social engineering. Okay, it's about not managing social change. Okay? It's about developing, controlling, and manipulating people's behavior. And they use these false idols to do it. Nobody, like I said, is going to look to Chuck Schumer, you know, at the way Chuck Schumer's dressing and all these other things and then copycat him. And again, the basic forms of social engineering I talk about in my podcast. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do so now. And the basic form are the littlest things in our day-to-day life that you don't even realize have been programmed into us. Okay? Even the way you dress, even the way that you, put your makeup on, even the way that you use sayings that you don't know what they mean, like it is what it is. We say things, we repeat things, we hear things. That's social engineering. They know how to work the human mind. They've studied it, they've mastered it, and now MK Ultra is being used on the population every second of every day. And the only way out of it is to realize you're being manipulated. So in that podcast, I go into detail also about the importance of understanding not just social engineering, but also how we perceive reality. Because really, if we unplugged everything and we went about our day from morning to night, doing basic essential things that need to be done, food, water, right? Sleep, you wouldn't have a clue about equity, you wouldn't even care, which is one of the reasons, of course, that they do this to people because we've given control of being, all these things that are things that satisfy you, fulfill you, that humans were put here to do, like take care of themselves. We allow the government to do it for us, right? And now while the government has us distracted, they're going to pull the carpet out from underneath us. So those are things, again, in the podcast. I wanted to do a video on this because of the collection of things that are out there. They're going to come out there and they're going to say conspiracy theory because they're going to drown out any noise about social engineering and this arranged relationship, which I've broken down, which is available on the website. Those videos have been since removed. Surprise, surprise, Cindy. Okay? But they're on the website about these two, their arranged relationship, and how social engineering works. Okay? This is a subtle way to make both of them more popular amongst their demographic fan base and to push this poison into people's bodies. Ultimately, that's what it is. Because I want 20 to 30 to early 40-year-olds specifically, and they want teenagers, 13, 14, 15, to make these decisions on their own through social persuasion, okay? That's what it's about, and they won't talk about that. They'll tell you that it's about votes for Joe Biden. And then, of course, nothing will happen at the Super Bowl, and then they'll come out and they'll say, see, conspiracy theorists are wrong again. They're wrong. When the only people who are making those types of predictions are, people who want to label themselves conspiracy theorists because they want to drown out actual truthers, people who are speaking on these intel operations that the government does to civilians. Not talking about, oh, it's about voting, okay? Because anybody with common sense at this point, if you think your vote counts, you're so far behind in the game that you have a clue, and you probably haven't for quite some time. I'm not saying it to insult you. I'm saying it to tell you to snap out of it, okay? Because the people that are getting put in these positions, you're not electing them, okay? You're not electing them. They're being selected. And that's the illusion that they're trying to keep, that the people are responsible for the destruction of this country. And that's who they're going to blame when they bring in their new globalist infrastructure. I thank everybody for being here. Thanks for letting me rant. Hope to see you over on the podcast. And if you want to stay here on YouTube and follow me on YouTube, make sure you sub to my other channels, link below. I am almost finished with those. They'll be ready to go, and I'll have new content on those as well. I recommend you do so now because there's a good chance this might get a strike. You might say, well, what did you say that's so controversial? Exactly. Those are the things they don't want you to talk about. They don't want you to think about manipulation and CIA operations that have to do with civilians' minds and how they can control and manipulate your mind to do the things they want you to do. And all those things they want you to do. It's not about doing good things. Hey, we want to, a society of bad people. We want to manipulate them into being good people. It's quite the opposite. It's to do everything opposite of what is good. They're manipulating people. They're turning them into reprobates. They're turning them into serial killers through mind control, which I talk about in that podcast as well. Okay, and these are all things I'll continue to talk about over on the podcast. This rant is over. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all well. God bless you as always and your families.